I want to bring in Dr. Henry Bernstein. He's a pediatrician at Cohen Children's Medical Center in New York and a member of the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. Dr. Bernstein, welcome. Great to have you with us. How crucial is FDA authorization of the Moderna vaccine in the overall fight to get the pandemic under control in the U.S.?
It's very important because it allows us to have additional products, many millions of more doses of this vaccine available for healthcare personnel, residents of long-term care facilities, and many others throughout the United States. So it's very important for this to be included for us.
So let's talk a little bit about children, because we are seeing far fewer children suffer serious symptoms of COVID-19. Why is it, though, still important to conduct clinical vaccine trials focused on kids? And how quickly do you expect a vaccine to become available for them? Testing must be more complicated because when you're an adult, of course, you can, join any trial you want. But as a minor, it's a little bit trickier, correct?
Absolutely. There's 4 million births a year in this country, so we're talking about roughly 72 million kids. And when we look at COVID-19, we see that there have been more than 1.4 million infections with SARS-CoV-2. There have been over 6,000 hospitalizations and 120 deaths. We really need to begin studying and including children. And what happens is they get studied in adults, and then the age ranges are de-escalated or moved down. And some of the information from adults allows us to accelerate the studies in children as we go younger and younger, down to children that are 2 years of age.
And so when will a vaccine, do you think, actually be ready that is targeting only children? Will it be very different from the one that adults are taking, do you think?
I suspect that it won't be very different. It'll probably be quite similar. Perhaps a different dose is indicated, but it's something that's very important for us to include. Now, when that happens, I suspect that that won't happen until I think the studies are underway. As we know, the Pfizer product is received authorization for children as young as 16, and now they're enrolling children down to 12. I suspect Moderna and other COVID-19 vaccine candidates will start moving down into children. But I suspect it'll be at least 6 to 9 months, if not longer, to get the vaccine available for children.
And what would you say to those who are still skeptical of the coronavirus vaccine, even if it's been tested and approved?
Well, first of all, I respect their feelings, and I totally understand where they're coming from. There's a lot of concern that this process has been accelerated, and that is a true statement. But people need to understand that although the vaccine production has been accelerated, the study has not been compromised at all. All steps that are necessary in developing a vaccine and moving it through the various phases of study before it can even be presented to the FDA and then the CDC, all steps have been studied, and we've had tens of thousands of people that have been involved in these studies. So we have lots of information, the integrity is clear, and it's important for people to feel comfortable. We know that some people are going to want to refuse the vaccine. We know some people are going to be at the front of the line and ready to take it as soon as it's available in their area. We also recognize that there's a lot of people that will have some concern and some trepidation about the vaccine, and they'll want to more of a wait and see attitude. They'll want to see how the first numbers of doses that are administered to people, how well they're tolerated before they stand in line in order to be vaccinated. We want as many people as possible to be vaccinated because we need anywhere from 70, 80, 85% of the population in the U.S. to be vaccinated in order to help address this pandemic and turn things around.
And Doctor, the FDA has authorized the first over-the-counter COVID-19 test, which you can take at home, which is very exciting for a lot of people. Tell us more about how this test works, how it could help bring control to the pandemic before vaccines are widely available to the average person.
So I don't know a lot of the details of this latest test that received approval, but the concept is really important because one of the things that's been most difficult is that when people have symptoms or have been exposed to the SARS-CoV-2 virus, it's been incredibly difficult for them to be tested to understand whether or not they actually have been infected. Knowing that information, having it readily accessible, readily available, and affordable, that it can be done on their own at home is incredibly exciting, because that information will help so that people know that if they're having symptoms and they can diagnose that they have the disease, they can actually properly isolate. If in fact they've been exposed, they've been infected, but don't have any symptoms, they too can quarantine so that they're decreasing the spread of the disease amongst their family and amongst the community. So it's very exciting that such a test is available and will eliminate the need for all these long lines that we see every night on the news.
Indeed, they cannot make them fast enough. All right, Dr. Henry Bernstein, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tanya.